What's going on? It's Greg. Greg said it. Coming up on the final run for the Colorado Buffaloes, guys. We waited so long. A lot of us who's been following this team and kind of been excited, like I don't want to say Christmas, but just been excited for what the season had to come. It's like, boom, we're at the end, like 3 games left. Some people still hoping for a bowl game, but we here. We November. And with a 4-5, finally crossed over to the dark side of the record. Losing record for the first time in a year. Guess that could be considered good. We seen a lot of flip-flopping from people like, hey, it's just the first year. This is actually good. It's 3 games more than what everybody expected. It's just been an up and down thing from what we expect from Colorado. Would this be the year we coming? Would this be the year where dominate? Can't blame Coach Prime. He set that bar. Nobody want to hear about nobody coming in and say, we running, we going. We don't plan to win. We'll win in 3 years. I mean, I believe he believed it, and I believe that's what he wanted. I think that's what he wanted. I don't think he was lying. I believe that's what he strived for. And if we really look at it, if we look past the mistakes and the weaknesses and the possibilities, they could very easily be 7-1, 6-2. Just as much as people say, well, they lost some close games, won some close games, they could have lost them too, maybe. But just like you want to say they could have lost some games, they could have won them too. That's how close they were. And it kind of brings me to my point today, like, does Colorado suffer from the too little, too late? Do they have a case of the too little, too lates? It's the tale of Colorado of the season, the two-sided of the double-headed dragon or something. 2 sides of the same coin. They can be one of the most explosive teams, and they've shown they can be one of the most recently ineffective. I mean, even when they were losing or in the close games, they were putting up on the average 30-something points. But the last couple games, they've went into halftime with 3 and 6 points. They've had a hard time scoring. And it's like, who to blame? I mean, even though they were playing bad, the defense at one point was giving up too many points. And they say, well, the defense held them, then 30, 40 points should be good enough. But the defense was giving up 40. Now the defense has been keeping teams in the 20s, low 20s, mid 20s. And it's like, now the offense can't score more than 20. It's like, it's weird. And it's like this superhero complex that they love to have, or why I say too little, too late. It's like you want to come back at the end. That's been the tale of the team. That was them, going all the way back to really Colorado State. You can say that TCU, but that was more like a shootout. But, Colorado State did it. Did it at Arizona State. Did it. Tried to do it at USC. Tried to do it at Stanford. Tried to do it at UCLA. Tried to do it at Oregon State against these people. And we're looking like, Shador made the comment, which was interesting early in the year. He wished every game could be like 2-minute drill, because we were saying, why would they be a second half team all the time? We're trying to figure it out. And then recently in the last press conference, they were saying, hey, what happened in the second half where you was doing absolutely nothing and, you make these comebacks? He said, I got mad. And some people say, well, you need to learn how to get mad. I can relate. I remember when I was a kid and I had to go into this incredible hope, pop out of cellar man type anger. And, it lasts for a couple plays, but I had to manipulate that thing, turn on the anger to be aggressive. So I learned how to kind of maintain it. Kind of that water boy mentality. You got to envision something to get angry. That's not a good thing for your mental. But it seems like that's what he's saying it takes for him. And maybe that's the case, because it's definitely inconsistency. It's like he has to be triggered or something. I don't know. He was triggered the first part of Stanford, then it kind of just wore off against, them in the second half. And I've said this, and I heard a few people say it, but I know some people just new to this thing, but it kind of reminds me of last year, Jackson State. Jackson State, if you really look back at it, they struggled being a complete team. Same narrative Coach Prime had. Pull this thing together, completely together, fully together for a whole game. They didn't do. Pretty much the whole season. They were the tail of the one-half team, too. They didn't do a lot of comebacks because the defense really didn't give up a lot of points. And they rarely was behind, but sometimes they played teams closer than they wanted. They'll just pull away. But they just never really played a full game of both halves just being dominant from what they could be. They probably would have put up 50, 60 points a game. And the defense was somewhat consistent. And then towards the end, they had a problem with running quarterbacks and this and that and that. But Shedeur, if you really look at it, that's something he's been dealing with. That's something Coach Prime's been dealing with. Not really being able to put together a full game of what they're capable of doing offensively, for sure. And kept saying, a lot of people kept saying, this wait until the end is not going to run out. You can't just keep winning all the games with this little superhero, Brady mode, legendary mode, whatever you want to call it, ending. And sure enough, that's what happened. Now we're seeing kind of like a burnout. And then, we see the injury with Shedeur and the hip, knee, or whatever he has going on, where we're not really seeing even the ability. He can't even really run. He got like you want to run, take a knee. He could have took off running last game, but it's like he just bailed out of it because the pain. He don't even want to slide. So it's definitely possible that hip, because he don't even want to slide on it. Open field. And that further shows why they need to run, because he can't. He was helping out the running game. And he got 3 more games. Got Arizona, they say, is pretty aggressive. I haven't really watched them. Then you got Washington State. They played some close games. Then you got Utah, of course, who's, kind of that. You don't really know what you're going to get, but they've been a solid team. So you don't have no little rinky-dink game left. And for the most part, the defenses are going to be capable of doing what the last few teams did, at least. And you make the bowl game, who knows what you're going to get. But know that they can beat any one of these teams. Everybody's been beating each other anyway. It depends who shows up. Not that too little, too late thing, because you just, you got injuries and pains and aches at this point. Everybody do. But they definitely can beat Arizona. Arizona clearly is not beatable. They kind of got the momentum going. They're on a run right now. Just whoop UCLA. I mean, Colorado could have whooped UCLA. Colorado had 4 turnovers, and all they did is kick field goals. If those was touchdowns, they would have whooped UCLA. Same thing with Oregon State. Oregon State's considered a good team. They were one loss away from being in the top 10. And them games they lost were fairly close. And people are not talking about that. Maybe I need to do a separate video, but they're not really talking about. It's just you so stuck on looking at Colorado's losing. You're not at this point even considering who they're losing to. And not who they're losing to, but how they're losing. They're losing close games. At this point, it's only one game that wasn't close at all. That was Oregon. And, you put a lot of energy on the games that they played closer they won, but you're not putting a lot of energy on the games close that they lost, because all their games, for the most part, been under 2 touchdowns as far as their losses. And they got a lot of, the games that they lost within a touchdown, regardless who they played. Like, you look at this with the Oregon State. You look at that with Stanford. You look at that with the USC. That's that too little, too late. I just named 3 games. UCLA kind of pulled away a little bit, but that was really a close game. And I just named 3 of the 5 losses that were within a touchdown. 1 touchdown. And to me, if you really look at it, I haven't. that's the case with a lot of these teams in the Pac-12. I don't know if that's good or bad, but they typically lose in close games. When they do lose, you're looking at their record, but they're losing close games. It's not a lot of teams blowing each other out. Oregon pull away. Washington has pulled away from some teams. Maybe they're the two stronger teams. Maybe they'll see each other again in the Pac-12 championship. Looking at the records of everybody, it's not going to be USC. It won't be Oregon State unless they go and beat Oregon. Maybe they have a head-to-head like that. It just depends how everybody finishes these last 3 games. But Colorado could face too little too late. Maybe they find a running game and let's run through the last 3 teams. Too little too late. But the way they're playing, nothing is too little too late. They got to do something. They got to get rid of this losing streak. They got to take some momentum to next year, bring back some positivity to the program, because everybody's dogging them right now. Say, well, y'all going to do it again next year if y'all don't correct. If y'all don't have no running game, you're going to lose again next year. You're going to lose in the Big 12. They got to do something to take something positive into the next year. And for people who not playing next year, I think they want to finish strong for whatever they're trying to do next. But make sure y'all like, make sure y'all share, make sure y'all subscribe, comment, hit the bell notification. Again, it's Greg. Greg said it. And I'll talk to y'all soon.